we have with us Anand. So she's a topper of this year with All India rank 142 and has got in paper 2 more than 150 marks. Okay, so it is one of the highest. And another important thing is Anand is from non-agriculture background. She has done graduation in MBBS. Okay, so many of the aspirants ask us about whether a non-agri aspirant will be able to clear this names. So can you first briefly tell about your experience on how to go about and all? After that, can we take the questions, madam?
So I believe for students who have a basic understanding, who have agriculture background, they can directly start with PYQs. And for other students, they must read the content once, read all the content related to all the pointers in the syllabus, and then switch to PYQs. So the major input for this exam is solve the PYQs, get all the points added, do some value addition to your answers, which sir will tell you. And that would suffice to solve the paper majorly. Although this time the paper was not based much on the PYQ. Certain questions were quite different, especially in paper 2. But apart from that, the major trend is that solving the PYQs and covering the points from syllabus, not going too far, would suffice.
Okay, just focusing on the PYQ and then going a little bit ahead in that area would suffice.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So what are the sources you used and how much it was useful? And you got 151 in paper 2. So what suggestions do you have or something? Because many students are getting even 80 marks in paper 2.
Paper 2 is entirely technical. So the main thing is to memorize the points well. And we must have a good understanding of all the things, especially plant breeding, seed science. Once we are able to understand all that and memorize the things, it is a paper in which we can score good marks. This paper is something like mathematics, where if we write the points right, we can score good. So apart from that, apart from memorizing all the things in paper 2, we must do certain value addition. For example, in plant breeding, there are certain tables and diagrams of the plant breeding cycles, which can be drawn. And apart from that, in genetics part, there are many diagrams which can be drawn for cell biology, all those things. And I have the syllabus with me. Paper 2 syllabus is very specific. So it is something which must be covered like that. Cell structure, plant breeding, seed production, plant physiology, and enzymes, remembering all the cycles, C3, C4 cycles. If we draw them well, we can get good marks. And then from horticulture also, apart from memorizing certain fruits and vegetables for their package of practices, the better thing is to know the points which are required in package of practices. For example, the climate, we have to write about the climate, type of soil, seed rate, and other agronomic practices, management of irrigation, management of pesticides, management of weed. So these are the common points which would be written in all or any crop which is there in the exam. So having a basic framework, and in that we can, even if we do not know the exact things in that package of practices, we still have certain idea that whether it is a rabi crop or a kharif crop, usually soil must be well-drained soil. So these are the common things which can be written for these type of questions if we are not able to memorize the exact package of practices. Then even for pest and disease, there are certain questions which are repeated, like integrated pest management, threshold level based on that. And uske baad hai food production and consumption trend. These are targeted public distribution system. These are certain things which are also covered in GS paper 3. So making precise note is important in paper 2 especially.
Okay, madam. So, did you refer any books for this, or any short notes would suffice?
I used notes from a coaching institution. So I used to make short note from their notes. I used to take important point from those notes. For plant breeding, for certain topics, I used BD Sync. And for the first topic, cell structure, I used NCRTs, school NCRTs. And from those, I
Okay.
made my notes. And regarding the last point about food production and all, I used internet to make my notes based on the PYQs. I used to look in the internet for the answers.
Okay. So it's a mix of wherever like the best
Multiple
things we
resources.
get, we need to get the books, coaching, or whatever materials we have at our hand, NCRTs, because NCRTs are good. This 11th, 12th, and NCRTs and all for basic understanding.
Yes, sir. For cell structure, cell biology, it is good.
And even physiology also some extent.
Hanji, to an extent, even physiology.
Okay. Last year we had some new questions also, like regarding plasma membrane and all. So were you able to answer those questions, and also systemic acquired resistance question? So did you leave them, or did you read them, or what was your strategy?
I did write about the systemic acquired resistance because I had read about it in my notes. So although it was a bit, it was not covered in the PYQs, but it was something which is the basis of plant pesticide resistance and all.
Defense.
So the notes had the basic things also. So what I used to do was I used to know a gist of the base. I used to know all the things. Then I used to memorize the important points. So although I didn't remember that question word by word, but I knew what it is actually. So that's why I was able to write. And cell membrane question, that one I didn't attempt, although we know one thing, that fluid mosaic model, but other models are also there. So I didn't attempt that one क्योंकि वो मुझे exactly याद नहीं था, but I remembered that systemic acquired resistance one.
Okay. So, and also the question last year, which was on salicylic acid. So salicylic acid plays key role in SAR. Maybe I think the examiner was inspired by that question, salicylic acid. He put that SAR question.
Yes, sir.
And maybe in the future he may ask about induced systemic resistance, which is opposite to, not opposite, it is like complementary one of systemic acquired resistance.
Yes, sir. We must have a basic understanding in this paper. That is very important, to know all the concepts and then memorize based on the PYQs.
So as we talked about paper 2, what about paper 1? How it is a very general paper, as many say, but how do you add value and make it more attractive or scoring to the examiner?
So this time in paper 1, I scored 115, which was very less than my expectation, because last year I scored 131. So I was expecting around 140. I can't say what went wrong, but considering my last year's and this year's experience, I used to do a lot of value addition in paper 1. For example, in topic about Krishi Vigyan Kendra, a question was there last year. So I used to write some practical implications also. For example, I used to add certain Nobel laureates. Jaise Dr. Ratan Lal, he worked on soil science. So if any question is there for soil, I would try to include that point about Dr. Ratan Lal. Then there is Abdul Khatar Nada Khattan, who got Padma Shri for small implements, plant for small agriculture machineries. So I used to write about that also. Then I used to connect the answers with food security of India and world. Right, I used to write about government schemes. For example, whenever the question is about irrigation or water management, we have multiple government schemes, like per drop more crop, Krishi Sinchai Yojana, PM Krishi Sinchai Yojana. So I used to add those things in my answer, maybe in conclusion or in introduction. Apart from that, in the syllabus, GS paper 1 has quite a diverse syllabus, so it has huge scope for value addition. But then in the end, farm management and scope, marketing management, we have certain pointers which we must memorize to answer these questions. Even in agriculture extension, KVK, NGOs. These are the questions for which we do get well-prepared answers if we take any coaching material. So based on that, we can make our short notes.
And so like from GS3 portion, we can get a lot of value addition for these questions.
Yes, case studies can be added. There's Dr. Rajendra Singh who worked for water harvesting. So all these things can be added. And even sir, when I used to give my answer for checking to Sir Jobin sir, he used to give very nice inputs based on the case studies which can be added. So that also helped. Apart from that, we must know the basic definitions like cropping pattern. So cropping pattern ka wo sara definition based on the PYQs which are asked, impact of high yield and crop short duration varieties. These are the common questions. So for these, we must have our answers prepared. Forestry plantation, this is also a short topic, but every time there will be certain question from this topic. So we must also focus on all the sections. We have to cover all the sections because the questions would be diverse, covering all the sections. So that is also important.
Okay, for this elaborate explanation and things. Like you explained about paper 1, paper 2. The next is about like how do you students ask like, sir, how do we make notes? And the next is test series important or was it useful like evaluation and other things? So can you please throw some light on this?
I believe making notes must be based on the PYQ and syllabus. Don't just read and write notes. Try to write the answers for the PYQs. And when you get time, also try to incorporate the introduction and conclusion in your notes because that will be handy for you while preparing for the exam. So note making for me was very sure that I'll write the answers for all the PYQs so from 2013 till the date. जो भी questions आए हैं, I'll write the answers or check all the. Firstly, a good idea is to classify all the questions from paper 1. Classify all the questions of ecology एक साथ करके रख लो. Then put all the questions of cropping pattern together and then answer them. So these are the best way to make your notes. And what else did you ask, sir?
Regarding like test series or writing tests, whether it was useful or how we as candidate has to move forward.
Once note making is done and we are thorough with our notes, it becomes important to write the test because firstly we need to know if we are able to complete the paper in time. So to know about the speed, to get an idea, it is important to write the test series. And also while writing the test, we get an idea about what introduction or conclusion we can add or what data points we can add in our answers. Because while checking, I used to give good data points too. For example, the area covered under drip irrigation or the area covered under sprinkler irrigation, the efficiency of these two different techniques. So these are certain things. If we write the numbers, they can give good points. So while writing the test, you can get such inputs from sir. And also while we write our test, we get an idea ki what else we can add. So giving a certain test is, I believe, important. And it will really help you in the main exam. Because once you've written the answer, you'll have the confidence of writing it in the main exam.
Thank you, Ritam. So that the thing is like when we write, first it is useful for ourselves. Like more than evaluation, first it is useful for ourselves. We get confidence. Second, we'll also get idea on what the examiner is expecting. Based on that, they can work on themselves. Then, those who are going to give this year's mains. So, what is your strategy for them? Next 80 days they have. Like those who are getting more than 90 marks, they are thinking like, sir, I don't have any directions for next 80 days. How should we move forward? Anything which you want to say?
So I believe first thing is to have crisp notes. That is the major thing. First, even if you're spending 20 days and making notes, that will reap good results, because I also prepared my notes in these 80 to 90 days in my 2022 attempt. So that helped me clear the exam in 22 also, and those same notes I followed this year also. So I would say, firstly, have good handy notes. Having the right content with you is very important. And once you're done with the note making, and maybe if it takes 20 to 25 days, that won't be an issue. Make the notes, then memorize. Memorizing them is very important, especially memorizing all the points is important for paper 2, because in paper 1 you still have general idea about what to write. In paper 2 it's majorly factual. So make crisp notes, memorize all those notes, and in the end you can see what other value addition you can do. And also read about some Padma Shri winners in field of agriculture. Those you can add in your answers, because for intercropping, multiple cropping, Padma Shri was awarded last year, I believe. So there are certain names you can memorize, 1 or 2, which you can add wherever it is appropriate.
So that the aspirants can work on these value addition points and notes making.
Yes.
Because when I was discussing with Vinay also, he also said that our answers, our marks, all depends on the quality of our notes. That should be also self-made. Many aspirants are like behind the toppers, like please give your notes. So if you give your notes, you will become topper. It doesn't happen that way completely. It may help them, but it is not an you need to make your own notes. That's what I suggest them.
That is important, because we don't exactly know what was their thing when they wrote their notes. There might be they have certain understanding, and based on that they have written the notes, and we might lack that understanding. For example, if we take the notes from someone who's from agriculture background, they'll write in very short because they know the things, but we might require more understanding, so their notes might not work for us. So we can take their notes for idea that these are the important points which must be covered. These are the examples which they have written. For example, golden rice example, or any other example of different varieties, Rashmi variety, which is salt tolerant and drought tolerant variety. So these examples can be taken from their notes, but to gain an understanding, we'll have to make our own notes. Or what you can do is, what I used to do was, if I have certain coaching material and I used to feel the content is good, I used to tear those pages and staple it in my notes. So in that way, my notes won't be too diverse, and at the same time, I have good content.
Exactly. So wherever we get the good things, we can just pick. Once we have made our notes, wherever we get some good points, pick from there and add in your notes. Uh, so can we ask some aspirants to ask some of their doubts, madam?
Yes, sir.
So please raise your hands. We can take some 3-4 questions, important ones which we have not discussed. Please ask them. Don't ask the similar or same questions again. Okay, please ask only something which is very important and all. Okay. Okay, Ritvik, you can please unmute and ask your question.
Hello, sir. Am I audible?
Yes, you are audible.
Yes, yes. First of all, congratulations, ma'am. And
Thanks.
I am to ask you, ma'am, how should I go about for subjects like pathology and entomology? I mean, sometimes questions from them can be very tricky, and we have to memorize a lot of facts there. So, how should I go about that?
So the thing is, based on the amount of time you have. If you have good time, then you can try to memorize about all pests. Otherwise, have a general idea. See the PYQs. In PYQs, you'll be able to find a trend about, I told that integrated pest management, this is something which is commonly asked, or biological management. Memorize certain common chemicals which are used, some common pesticides which are used. Based on that, and also try to cover the PYQs. That is very important. And also then you can memorize the same thing which I said, certain common pesticides and for what they're used. The formulation, that question was also asked once. So go for PYQs. These are the things which will help, because then otherwise if you try to cover every individual pest, that will become vast. Know certain methods, biological pesticides, ka kuch method, ya fir trap method, agronomic practices. Know the generic things. That would suffice, because you don't have to attempt all the questions. So if other questions are good, this is something which you can skip. But because if you don't have much time, then doing all the pest might be difficult. Even I didn't do all the pest. I did basic things based on the PYQs.
Thank you so much.
Yes, yes. To add to Rhythm, see, most of them are asking this similar question to all the toppers. But what you need to do is first focus on the basic things. Are you strong in basics? Are you strong in genetics, breeding, seed science, and physiology? All these portions. There you should be strong. If you are strong there, yeah, and easy questions come from these areas, that's okay. If you are focusing on small pests, then you will lose in genetics. That will be a big damage.
There's less probability of something from that portion coming, but probability of something to come from plant breeding, seed science, genetics is too high, and good amount of questions to come from there. So it is important that we cover that, and compared to pests, that is easier to cover.
Yes, and predictable also, exactly. So Akshay, can you unmute and ask? Any others are also having? You can raise your hands.
Thank you, sir. Hello, ma'am. I come from a non-agriculture background. My question to you is that for me, I have completed my note making, but I am facing some issues whilst covering paper two subjects, for example, plant breeding and genetics. Can you please provide me with some tips and some insights in how can I go about in making expertise in those subjects?
For plant breeding, I used to watch the videos of all the methods they have. So plant breeding entire section I covered by video. I had joined evolution at that time, so I used only the videos of plant breeding. So if sir takes the classes for plant breeding, that would be that can be helpful, because I think plant breeding, it is difficult to understand on its own. So for that you must take certain help. Watch some videos, because once you have watched the videos, your concepts are clear, then it becomes easier to memorize.
Ma'am, I have one more question, if you please. Ma'am, for the test series, which test series would you refer?
Any test series would be fine. It is more important what inputs you're getting. So I got my papers checked from Jobin sir. So he used to give me good inputs about what value addition can be done. I initially also told about data points, case studies, examples which can be added. So sir had his test series, and I had already joined evolution test series, because I took the I had enrolled there earlier in my previous attempt. So I gave for checking to sir and to them also. But there I didn't get much input. Here I could get better inputs.
Thank you, ma'am.
Hello, ma'am.
Hello.
How to score 300 plus in agri option, ma'am? Nowadays, highest marks are around 280 plus like this only. What is the best option to score 300 plus? If I'm giving 6 months time to agriculture option only, I have more time like that. what is the best strategy to get 300 plus?
So now you'll have to divide your marks 150, 150 in both the papers, because I've seen people getting 150 in paper one. A senior of mine got 150. And in paper two, also you can get 150 if you have memorized the point wells, you make the diagrams for those planned reading thing, make all the tables. So you'll have to devote equal amount of time for both the papers. And for paper one, I think memorizing all the definitions, adding data, that can help you score good marks. Although the trend has been marks are around 280 or 270. That is the thing. So this is something which I do feel becomes a disadvantage when compared to subjects like anthro maybe, which score good 300 marks. Many people are scoring. So, but I feel the syllabus here is very well defined. So it becomes easier. If you memorize the points well, you can score good marks because it is largely a scientific technical subject, which is based on memorizing the things and answer writing.
Is there any current affairs material for agri optional, ma'am? Like down to earth, like that?
Current affairs, actually you'll find a lot of material. Agriculture Ministry released their yearly book. They have an entire book of Agriculture Ministry. You can just glance through it, take certain important points. For example, I got to know about Mahila Kisan Divas, which is celebrated in October. I'm unable to recall the exact date. So just give a look to it. Unka yearly compilation they have. Secondly, you can see PIB, type agriculture and PIB related news. So you will get certain points about, like for banana, they had cluster groups they made for value addition of banana products. All those things you can get on internet. And even if you see any current affair material, they'll always have a section of agriculture. From there also you can add points.
Okay, ma'am. Nowadays questions are coming from not from PYQs. Their questions framing are very new in nature. How to go about it, ma'am?
So this was the trend which was seen in 2023 and not before that. So there might be certain questions, one or two questions, which are apart from the PYQs. But one trick is to leave them and do other questions when we have the choice of doing the question. Another thing is be clear with the base, which I said earlier also. We have to memorize certain things, but we must know the concept. So of certain concepts which are there in all the syllabus points, do know the concepts well. So that even if certain question is there, you can write in your own words. For example, if cell membrane is there, there are certain theories, do know about them. For resistance, systemic acquired resistance and all those things, do know the concept.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, Ratan, for mentioning me also and helping the aspirants in all the ways. Though it also gives us happiness just guiding as a passion and taking students, aspirants reaching their dreams. So any final words you have to the aspirants or anything which you want to say, you can please say.
So certain
Ma'am,
questions.
can I have a question?
Yeah.
Okay.
Ma'am, I want to know that did you read any basic book like subject-wise author's book, like Kundan Singh, V.D. Singh, V.K. Jain for plant physiology?
No, I didn't read any book entirely from cover to cover. What I used to do was based on the PYQ, if there is certain topic which I'm not able to get good material in the good content in the coaching material, then I used to refer the book. And if certain example is there for plant breeding, certain questions I was not able to find the answers for those questions, I referred the book. Or to get an understanding for certain questions from PYQ, I only used to refer the book for those things.
Okay, you for first instance you started with the coaching material.
Yeah, I just give a read to it. And then I started doing PYQs, because even after reading those material, I was not able to write answers to the questions. And once I had written the answers to the PYQs and then I memorized them, I was able to write the answers.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you.